All right, everybody, welcome and thank you for listening to WRUULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul, and you are listening to The Adam Messer Show. I'm your host, Adam Messer, and today, as a really neat follow-up we have from last week's show when I talked with Michelle Cornwall Jordan and Bruce Latimer, I actually have the two of the primary actors from When Androids Dream and Monstrum series. We have Brianna R. Jordan and Domonique Green. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for being here on the show with me today.
Hello,
Hi.
thanks for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so Sebastian, would you mind playing a little bit of music for us? This is Sebastian Messer, everybody. And ladies, this is my son. He plays music on the show for me every week. So
Okay, hi, nice to meet you.
I remember you told me about the guitar too.
I just love that new song, Bass. I just love it. He actually came up with that song like 2 days ago. Like created it himself. Yeah,
It's kind of talented.
yeah.
That's good.
Love it.
I liked it.
All right, so could y'all do like a little introduction of yourselves, who you are, and also the character that you played in the series?
Okay.
Yeah, Brown, if you want to go first, that's
Okay.
yeah, either way.
Sure. Okay. Yes, I'm Brianna R. Jordan, and I play the character Dominique Green in the Monstrum short film and the web drama When Androids Dream.
Hello, I am Domonique Green, and I play Baby J in When Androids Dream, and I play Phoenix in Monstrum. Hello, everybody.
Hello. I'm pretty excited. I'm really excited about having y'all on. I tell you what. So a little backstory. If anybody's just dipping into the show today for the first time, a friend of mine, Rachel Brune, introduced me to Michelle Cornwall Jordan, who is the executive producer director. She's the person behind the 4CW Media Productions. And we set up an interview, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let me check this out. Let me check the series out. You know, because I like sci-fi. I like, stuff with action and that kind of stuff. So I actually watched When Androids Dream first, and I loved it. And then I went back and I got Monstrum, and I watched that, and I was like, oh, now a lot of this stuff makes sense,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I actually picked up, I can't remember the name of it, but I actually picked up the dance one that she has and that you were in.
Quadruple.
What's it called?
Oh.
Quadruple.
Okay, yeah, I haven't watched that one yet, but I picked it up on my Vimeo account or whatever. And I tell you, I am really impressed. I'll be honest with you, I was so enthused and excited about being able to talk with your mom and with Bruce. And I keep saying your mom because Brianna, it's your mom, but you know what I mean, Dominique. It's like
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'll say Michelle from now on. But I was really excited to be able to talk with her because as an indie creator myself, I always love connecting with other creative people. So
That's not working.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. So what was it like being on set and doing the roles? How did y'all get into all of that, and what did you think about playing some of the lead characters? And Dominique was basically the lead character, but and when I say Dominique, I mean like the Dominique in the series, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah, and then Domonique Green, you're the actor that plays like the sister, right? So I think you had a really great role too because yours was like a lead character as well in both series. So can you all tell me what was it like being on set and doing all that and then seeing it all come together?
Well, for me, it actually really made me respect actors and actresses even more because the role that I played, she's not all that flamboyant, I guess if you could say. She's more so kind of inner, but when she's passionate about something, that's when you see a lot of her emotions. So when you play a character like that, it's kind of hard to balance the whole not showing a lot of emotion, but then showing a lot. And
Mm.
so that was really it was kind of hard to navigate it, but it was fun. It was interesting because she does my character has a lot of the qualities that I do, but I don't always show it to people. Like I always said that she says some of the things that I would like to say but don't.
Mm.
So I do playing that character was really fun, and then like also on set it was kind of interesting because Michelle, anytime she was addressing some of us, she would call us by our character names. So
Mhm.
Okay,
there was
okay.
Yeah.
slight confusion sometimes when she was saying Dominique, she was referring to me, but the other
I'll
Dominique
be
would
like,
get kind of
hey, huh?
confused.
And your character was Phoenix in the show, right?
Mhm. First of all, on set, it was very cold because I think for Monstrum we filmed in like January,
Mm.
Yeah, we
so
did.
that was that was a rough time working on there. But like it kind of brought everyone closer because it's like, oh, we're all in the same cold
Huddle
situation,
up for
so
warmth, kind of thing.
gave us
Yes.
a little bit more chemistry, I guess you can say, and a little bit more
Yeah.
bonding time. And within that area, it kind of made me feel closer to Phoenix because it's like kind of put me to where she could have been in the script. And as
Mhm.
far as with When Androids Dream, it was a little colder. It was like in November, but it wasn't as cold as in January. So like with working on When Androids Dream, it kind of, I don't know, that also put me into the script, but a little bit more so than Monstrum. My bad. And I don't know. I felt that connection
Hmm.
working with having the same crew and the same actors working together for When Androids Dream. At least most of us. It kind of bonded us even closer after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could really see the on-set chemistry. I felt, that's one of the things I was talking with Michelle. I was like, I really enjoyed the story,
Mm.
because
Mhm.
with the way that y'all played your characters, the way you all acted, you could feel that chemistry and that bond. And it was neat. It's kind of with going back from When Androids Dream, which is episodic. It's like short 10 to 15 minute episodes, and going back to
Mm.
Monstrum, which is like a short film. Like I think it's like 35 or 40 minutes or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
something like that.
Watching it, they seem like you could take both and put them together, and it would
Yeah.
they
Mhm.
flow. They don't feel disjointed. Like sometimes you have like a sequel or a follow up. It's you know
Uh huh.
you know what I mean. It
Yeah.
doesn't quite hit the
I know what you
mark.
mean.
I
Mhm.
felt
Yeah,
like
that's true.
with the two that especially I watched them backwards, um,
Mm.
and because I didn't realize it's kind of strange, but I just met Michelle, and I wanted to check out the When Androids Dream, and I picked it up on launch day, which was a couple of
Mhm.
weeks ago on a Friday, and
Mhm.
so I was like, oh wait a minute, there's this other Monstrum thing, and I'm like, oh, it's
Oh,
the
there was short
same
film.
universe,
Yeah.
yeah. And I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, and I've become a big fan of Michelle's work and y'all's work, and
Oh,
the
thank you.
Thank
Monstrum
you.
verse. So, and I'm excited to have y'all here today. I mean, honestly, that's one of the things I like about being a radio show host. I can be like, hey, can I interview you? And sometimes people say yes, and sometimes they don't. So,
And to be honest, this is like my first podcast too, so I was kind of nervous leading up to it, but like I don't know, kind of like calm down,
yeah, yeah.
kind of accustomed.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same thing with me. It's like I didn't know I couldn't predict what would happen beforehand, so I just decided not to
Mm.
overthink it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm the same way. I overthink things a lot, and I've had to just kind of, it's like, yeah, if I'm going to go with it, I just try to, get in the moment. So,
Just go with
Mhm.
the flow.
yeah, 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 I gotta, kind of just roll with it sometimes. And speaking of rolling with it, that's actually a great segue. Um, this was pretty much for both y'all, this is like one of the first times you've been doing an acting role, right? Or have you
This is
like acted
actually
before?
Sorry,
this
the
is
question cut out. What did you say?
I was saying, is this like one of the first times that you've done an acting role, or have you acted before?
Oh no, this isn't my first one.
yeah, it's not my first.
I've worked on a couple other projects, some others with Miss Michelle, but then like about 7 others with some other directors and other cast and crews around the Texas area.
Well, that's good, because I wanted to ask you, how did you decide that you wanted to be an actor?
Ooh, well, for me at least, it was about when I was around 8 years old, and I used to watch Selena Gomez on which is the Waverly Place because I was a huge fan of her back then.
Yeah.
Well, I still am now, but
I'm
back then I
a
was like
big
really
fan of hers
heavy on
too,
her.
because my kids watched that show when they were little.
Oh,
That was my favorite show.
so from then I was like, I want to be an actress.
That's
I was
cool.
like, I have to do it. And then, but like nothing happened for a few years until around the time that I turned 13, and I was actually looking out for a couple of agencies. But unfortunately, the one that I found, it wasn't exactly what we were thinking it was going to be.
Oh,
But
okay.
ever since then, like I've just been going around the ND circuit, and that's how I kind of got a few more roles.
Cool. How about you, Brianna?
Actually, for me, I never wanted to be. That wasn't on my radar when I was little. I was always dancing for me. That was my goal. It wasn't until I got into college when I was 18 that I realized I enjoyed it because Michelle had written another book and it was called Alliance at the time, and so we filmed it in 2 cabins in Oklahoma, and it's actually still stuck in editing, and I really don't know if it'll be able to come out. But the point is, it's like that's when that clicked with me. I loved the whole concept of it. I just loved being on set. I loved becoming another character and being in that mindset of that character. And so I've worked with Michelle on other projects, like we said, Quadruple Wind or Stream, and I worked with with a few other cinematographers for like for Dallas for Dallas Alliance filmmakers, and then I did this short film called Practice What You Praise for Order Steps Productions. And I actually have you ever heard of AOD music? I actually cannot pronounce it, but when I was about 14 or 13, I did a voiceover for one of her one of her things. Yes, and her name is Linda Snyderman or something Snyderman, and so Lisa Snyderman. I'm sorry, and so I did it with her, and so I've kind of just my journey to becoming what I am was in a different pockets of things. I did different things, and it just led to me wanting, okay, this is what I want to do.
Like this what I want.
That is, I think that's really cool. Especially like being a creative person. I feel, because I'm in my 40s and y'all are, obviously a lot younger than me. But I feel like throughout my, life, that's how stuff has happened with me too. Like I've come across different things that I've, kind of done. And it feels like that. It's like, if you learn how to say yes to opportunities, and you try stuff out, sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't,
Yeah.
Sometimes you figure out
right now.
yeah. Let me do a station ID. I want to share a little story from yesterday. You're listening to WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. Okay, so I have a little small background in film as well. I was part of a 48-hour film festival group here in Savannah in 2014 as a set photographer, and but I only did it the 1 year, and then last year I had an opportunity to play on the show called America's Most Haunted. I'm sorry, it's America's Most Terrifying. It's on Travel Channel, and anyway, a friend of mine, Ryan Dunn, here in Savannah, had posted that they were looking for extras. Well, come to find
Mhm.
out, have you ever seen those shows where they have like people playing the characters that they're talking about, like a historic reenactment type thing?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
It yeah, it was like that. So I got to play like 4 different roles, and even though
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't have
Oh wow.
I didn't have a speaking part as far as like talking,
Mhm.
we were, playing these characters or whatever, and I enjoyed it. I, being on set or whatever, I enjoyed it. But I don't have, like, I work a day job, and I don't have that all the time. But what I was telling Michelle was that the this book that I wrote, called Blood Thrasher, it's
Mhm.
a vampire book that I wrote
Mm.
this in mind of wanting to have it made into a movie. And so, friend of mine, Jason Ussery, and I, we talked about this a little bit. My friend Josh Vasquez and I, we talked about it. Ryan and I talked about it. I've talked to a couple other different people about wanting to, make it into a movie. And I was talking with Michelle, and I was so taken aback by how, she has really done a lot of work with this whole production company, the 4CW Media
Mhm.
Productions. And so coming back around to the story. I've just set like the
Mhm.
stage here. I'm sorry, but my
No,
friend
you're
Josh
fine.
and I, we I've got this anthology coming out, and I said, hey, want you I want you to make like a movie trailer for me, for the book.
Mhm.
I want it to be like live action. And so my friend Josh and I, he's done a couple of things, and we've worked together on a lot of projects during the last 5 years or so. But we met yesterday, and we are doing this thing called Dead Pixel Pictures, because
Okay.
it's going to be like
Okay.
a B-rated kind of, shorts, like
Mhm.
Mm.
horror, sci-fi, whatever, B-rated type stuff. But we're going to do a live action movie trailer for my book, the anthology that's coming out. And so my friend, Josh and I, we spent a couple hours yesterday just, working on that. And that, I feel like, talking about doing stuff and trying stuff out, my friend, what he said to me, I told him, I said, I've tried a lot of different things, and, some things I try, and they don't work out, and I just, move on. I learn from it. And, he
Mhm.
said to me, he's like, he's like, you're always trying to make improvements though. And I was like, yeah, that's the way I am. Like when I started the radio show to today, even though it's the same kind of format, doing the casual conversation style, I was really
Mhm.
nervous my first couple of weeks doing it. And I'm
Ah.
used to talking with people. So
Mhm.
Oh, I can feel you.
yeah. And so I love talking with creative people, and that's one of the things I enjoy is, connecting with people, and, building relationships with people and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Same.
I just want to share that with y'all, because y'all are the first. I mean, like I did a little thing on Facebook, but I didn't really, I didn't make like an announcement or anything like that. But y'all are the first people I'm talking to outside of, my little circle of friends.
Oh.
Oh,
Just sharing it
really?
with the world. I'm like,
That's an
here, hey.
honor. Thank you.
I thought this would
Thank
be
you.
appropriate to share it with the world, because what y'all are doing, and I think it's kind of neat. So,
Thank you.
what's next? What are y'all working on next? I mean, like, what projects do you have going on right now?
Actually, a friend of mine is wanting to produce a short film that he wrote.
Mm.
It's a series or a short film, and he asked me to be in as one of the roles, and so I believe we're gonna shoot that soon, like sometime later this year. And
Mm.
I also just I've been working on some choreography because I like to consider myself as a performer, like an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
I do
Mhm.
acting, dancing, and choreography, so I'm working on those realms of things. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Nice.
Um, for me, before COVID hit, I was working on this project. I can't say much because legal reasons,
Yeah, yeah, I
but
understand.
um, I was working on this project, and we were really like literally about to film a couple of days before Corona hit over here in America, and it got really bad in Texas. And so I've been kind of working on that, calling my scene partner every day and rehearsing. but we're not sure when we're going to film because
Oh,
they
okay.
want to wait to see how Corona is, going to work out.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm writing something myself with my production company. It's not as, how should I say,
Don't downplay
up
yourself
to
now.
par as Miss Michelle's, but
I was
I
gonna say,
mean,
don't downplay
it's a little
yourself.
something.
Don't downplay yourself. You never. I mean, I'm telling you, mighty things start in small places.
That's
So
true.
don't ever
But
downplay
yeah,
yourself.
that's
What's your production company called?
Dominique G for film.
Sweet. This is called the Adam Messer Show. Go with it. I love it.
No problem. Let's work something out.
That's what I'm saying. Like be proud of it. So tell me about this. Tell me about this project.
Which one? Mine or
Yeah, yours.
the other? Well, basically, I want to write like a love story. I haven't gotten like the actual concept. I just know that I want to write like a love story.
Oh, okay, cool.
Not sure. Oh, I'm sorry. That's my dog. He's trying to sleep.
Oh, you're fine.
But I'm not sure like what exactly if I want the people to be younger or older right now. But I just know that I want to write something revolving around a love story. But we'll see. Maybe in the next couple of months, I'll actually have like a script in hand.
Nice. I think, that's the neat thing about writing, storytelling. It doesn't matter like what medium you use. I mean, like that's one of the things I love about dance because, we were talking beforehand, Brianna, where my daughters are both, they did ballet, and when you're doing dance, you're telling a story. You know what I mean? Like you're visually showing a story, and you convey those emotions. It's the same thing, Dominique. Like when you're talking about a love story, it's conveying those emotions because, well, like earlier when you were talking about Brianna, when you're saying that you could say stuff when the character that you felt, but you don't normally vocalize.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, and so that is, I feel like storytelling. I mean, like, there's a lot of different genres out there, but good storytelling persists no matter what genre.
Yeah, storytelling is an art itself.
Yeah, and everything that like any form of entertainment is just another way to tell a story. So it's pretty
And that's
neat.
kind of like what sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And that's kind of like what I'm struggling with right now is because I'm kind of like a perfectionist, so I trying to go bigger and beyond than like mainstream stuff.
Can I tell you, I suffer from that too, and you know how I fight that. I'm going to ask you a question. I ask this a lot of times, but I'm going to ask you a question. What's better than perfect?
That is a very good question.
Oh wow, that got me thinking. I was like, what?
All right.
Can
Better
you give me a hint?
What's better than perfect? I want to hear what you think, and I'm going to tell you what I think.
I guess better than perfect. I guess really there is no perfect. I think it's just whatever you're actually proud of and genuinely happy with what you created. That's just how I look at it.
Oh, she stole my answer.
Okay, I'll tell you what I think. What's better than perfect? Done. Getting it done.
Done. Oh, that's
that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's something I share a lot, but I'm gonna tell you why. Because I am a perfectionist as well, and okay. So here's an example. Let's just say you take a picture, like you get like a really nice picture, and you get like a bunch of feedback on it, and like everybody's like, "Oh my gosh," right? And then you take another picture that you think is better than that first one, and it's flat. Nobody responds to it. Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of
Yeah. Right. So that's the same kind of thing. Like, who you are today is a culmination of everything that you've been through in your life, up until this very moment. And so you have taste, and perfectionism is like, okay, I have this vision in my mind of what I want it to be, and I don't have the resources or maybe the skills or whatever to get to that level, so I don't want to do it, You know, and that's what I combat. That's what I have to fight against.
That is true.
And so what I've learned is what's better than perfect. That's a question I ask myself. Like, I mean, I had to figure that out. Like, what's better than perfect? Done. Okay, so it might not be, you know, like I'm not going to have all the resources or the skills or whatever. But when I get that finished product out and then I build on it for the next one and then the next and then the next and then the next, you know, I mean, like with dance is a great one, for example. You don't, when you have choreography, it's a group of, you know, different steps. You know, it's a group of different moves that you have to put together. It's not, you have to learn the one move first, and then you have to learn the other, and you know, you learn all these different things, and then you put them together, and you have your your choreography, right?
Correct. Yes, it's like it's a lot of layering about it. It's like the basic skeleton. The skeleton is what I consider, like, the steps. The choreography itself is the skeleton.
Yep.
But then you have to add the style and then the costumes, the feel, all of it. That's what makes it a dance. So it's like it's just a lot of layering upon layers.
Yeah.
Of things.
And you don't learn all that in one day, though, right?
Absolutely not. No.
So who you were 5 years ago to today, I mean, like, you know, you're perfect 5 years ago to today would be totally different, right?
Totally different.
But,
I have learned so much about that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, Domonique. Like, you know, I know the feeling of being, you know, perfectionist. I'm just saying, you know what? Do that first screenplay, and it might be horrible. It might be terrible. You know, it might be like the worst thing you ever did, but you had it done, and it's done, and then you have something. You know, like, you can't edit a blank page, they say. You know.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
I'm gonna share this with y'all because I want you to know. My first,
you really are.
My first story that I ever did was total garbage. Like, my first fiction story. It took me 12 months to write because I was like, I'm just going to wait till I'm inspired and like the whole little cliche of being an author and all that. And it took me 12 months to write it. And then when I wrote it, I was so proud of it because it was like the most I'd ever written for a story. And I sent it to a friend of mine, and he kind of avoided me for a couple months, and not avoided me, but, like, you know, he didn't want to talk about it. And then I finally kind of pigeonholed him. I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, to be honest with you, it's really bad. And I was so, like, devastated because I felt like I was a good writer being in, you know, college and business and all that. But, you know, it was just garbage. I mean, literally, it was garbage to the fact that even several years later, I didn't do anything with it, and I asked somebody else to read it, and I was like, you know, it's garbage, but it's my garbage. You know, I made it.
Right.
Yes, ownership.
Yeah, I made it. So, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I want to encourage you. Like, you know, don't ever downplay yourself, and don't wait for it to be perfect. Just make it, you know, finished. You know, and then you can build on it. You know. Because I think that's a big hurdle that I see. You know, like, if I had, I feel like this. I always loved writing, right? But I didn't. I love creative stuff. You know, like, I loved arts and things like that. But when I was 18 years old, getting into things, I was like, oh, I'm never gonna make any money being an artist. So I went into business, and now I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, you know I've got to pay bills, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. But what really makes me feel alive is my art.
Same.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure you feel the same way. You know, the way you're talking.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we still have to pay our bills and stuff like that, but, you know, whatever. Let me do the station IDs real quick, y'all.
Okay.
And we'll be back in like 2 minutes. But everybody, you're listening today to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. And we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
This is a message from the Georgia State Department of Public Health. Social distancing means minimizing contact with people. It also means that if you are near someone in public, try to stay at least 6 feet away. The less contact people have with one another means the less opportunity for the virus to spread. Slowing the spread of the virus means that we can keep our healthcare system from becoming overwhelmed. More information can be found at dph.georgia.gov.
You are attuned to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul.
The William Scarborough House is one of the earliest examples of Greek Revival architecture in a domestic setting in the South. Designated a National Historic Landmark in 1974, the Ships of the Sea Museum is a member of the National Trust for Historic Preservation Distinctive Destinations program. More information can be found at shipsofthesea.org. Did you know that holes left behind at the beach are hazardous for baby sea turtles as they make their way to the ocean? Baby sea turtles are protected by filling in the holes that you or others dig on the beach. Hashtag Sea Turtle Safety stickers and more information can be found at www.seaturtlesafety.org.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. And you know what? Just want to add this to the segments there. So we're an all-volunteer station. I've been a volunteer for over the last 2 years, and I am so happy that we have a chance to do the show and have people on like Brianna and Domonique, and be able to talk with them about their stuff. So we can only do that with your support. So when you're listening to the show, or if you're listening to the podcast later on after the live radio show, just think about it. If you like what we're doing here and you want to support over 60 something radio hosts, maybe consider doing a donation. You don't have to do like a monthly thing. If you want, you can do like a one-time donation. Even $1 goes a long way. You wouldn't believe it, but $1 is actually going to help out if you want to do it. So like right before we were talking about, like I kind of got on a little sidetrack about like what's better than perfect and then done, and that stuff, like all that stuff that I was saying, it's all stuff that I tell myself, like because I have to deal with that, I guess it's imposter syndrome. People. Like for me, for example, I'm like, oh, nobody's going to like my stuff. Nobody's going to read my stuff. Nobody's going to do whatever, But I've come to find out that there are some people that like my stuff, and those are my people. My stuff's not for everybody. And I've come to accept that. I mean, I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. The folks that do like my stuff, those are the people that I really have been focusing on and trying to like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So I was not trying to say like, that you don't do stuff or whatever at all, but I just wanted to share that with you because I didn't want it to come across that way.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you just said about how there are some people who do like your stuff and not everything's for everyone, because I'm also a business owner. I have a business called BRJ Productions, and under that I deal with different factions like acting, dance, and choreography. And it's just one of those things where I've learned recently, well, I've always known, but it just kind of really hit home. It's like you have to think about who your audience is.
Yes.
Like what exactly do they want? And then, give it to them in the best way that you possibly can. And so I really do resonate with that and in all things that I do. So I see what your point is.
I love that you just said that, Brianna, because my friend and I... this interview fell in my lap on Friday with a guy named Tony Ray Morris, and because I had the weekend scheduled or whatever, but this guy sent me a message about his new book, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about that same exact thing. I had a professor named Dr. David Taylor, communication arts English professor, and he said this about the audience.
Okay.
You got to focus on your audience. You got to think about your audience. He said this: give them what they want, give it to them real good. And I loved that because I was like, there's a book that I'm listening to called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and she was talking about like, if you're making stuff, you should be thinking about who you're making it for.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and this is what I love about what she said too, because she said if you're not making it because you love it, then you're not doing the right thing, right? And I'm paraphrasing here, and she said that some people are going to really connect with your stuff, other people are not, and I feel that is so true, because there are people that like my poetry, but they don't like my fiction work, and there are other people that I know that they don't like any of my writing. And it's just not because of me. It's just that they don't like fiction or they don't like poetry. And I get that. It's just like somebody who might like opera. A lot of people might have a misconception about opera because they don't know anything about opera or ballet or, whatever. They just don't know anything about it. So they're like, oh, I'm just, I don't, whatever. And I'm like, that's cool. You don't have to.
Because I'm kind of dealing with that right now. Because, I'm starting my bonnet business, and I'm trying to find my niche and, the people who are interested in buying them.
What is this now?
It hasn't started yet.
What is it? It's called a bonnet business? What is that?
Oh, yes, sir. It's what people of color, especially black women, wear when they go to sleep to protect their hair.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I know, I've seen that. I just didn't know they called it a bonnet. See, when I think of a bonnet, I think of the Prairie days, when they had the little, Little House on Prairie, the bonnets like that. I was like, are you selling bonnets? I was like, oh, I didn't know that was even popular. With the we call that a nightcap. I've heard of being called a nightcap, but so it's called a bonnet. That's cool.
See, so I'm just now getting started. It's called Hairline Stitch. I only have about 18 followers on Instagram, so if y'all want one, y'all can go buy it. But that's really what I'm struggling with, because I'm trying to find who's interested in buying from me and buying the product. And
and honestly, we on the station here we could talk about stuff, but we can't call to action for the sales just because we're a community radio station. But I totally get what you're saying. Connecting with that audience is, it really is like a sale. You're trying to sell people on the idea of, hey, I've got something that you might be interested in, and connecting with them. And I'll tell you my philosophy about these kind of things is that I love to connect with people with relationships first in mind. I mean, the transactions come, but we're, if you think about where we live today and what we've got going on with social media and smartphones and everything, we're being advertised to 24/7, with the shows that we watch, the music we listen to, the social media, we're being advertised to 24/7. Go ahead. No.
I remember writing an essay for my school last semester. It talked about how even if you don't want something, if you're shown it enough, within 7 to 10 times within a day, even if you don't want it, you're going to end up, wanting it. Eventually.
Yeah. It's the same thing with it's the same thing with any kind of slogan. If I go ba da 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 da, who's that? It's McDonald's. You know what I mean? Because we've heard it so many millions of times or whatever. And I feel like connecting with the audience, especially creatively, you've got a product, a physical product, and you've got an audience of people who need that product, and it's connecting with those folks that need that product, right? And so it's the same thing with the dance, it's the same thing with the books, the movies, or whatever. It's, when I say need, it might be like a luxury item. I know that entertainment and things like that are luxury items. I mean, it's not like, a necessity where, hey, I've got, you got to have this because it's going to help you provide food, shelter, clothing. But also creating that need. It's like, okay, well, why not get this, this bonnet, have a custom made bonnet just for me. It's just a one of a kind, or why not get, a producer to come and actually, give us professional choreography for this dance that we want to do,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, interesting you said that. It's because like my business, I provide the service of choreography. I've mentioned it in its original choreography, but how I did it, instead of just going out and saying that I do it, I did. I asked a variety of people that
Mm-hmm.
I knew. I sent them questions, basically like a survey, and I asked them questions like, how do they prefer choreography being taught to them? Do they like it through a
Mm.
tutorial? Do they like to do it in person? And I asked them, does it have the choreographer have to be well known, or can it
Mm.
just be someone like a new choreographer?
Mm.
And I
Mhm.
got feedback, and I based my business model off of that feedback. Or the past workshops that I've done, these past few months, um, I've had someone ask questions to the people that I taught,
Mm.
because I
Mhm.
wasn't able to physically do it myself at the time. But like they would ask the questions, and then the students that I taught, they would give the feedback of what they liked about the workshop, what they didn't, what they would want more of, and you go based off of that. So that's
Mhm.
another way, I guess, of marketing, where you kind of just directly ask your audience, what do you want, and then you know if it's in your interest or if it's in your capability, giving it to them that way.
Mhm.
I love that you said that, Brianna, because it sounds like you two could work together. I love it. And it sounds like you also focus on relationship first.
Mhm.
You know, you're focusing on like what it not all about me. It's all about like what do you want? How can I serve
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
better? How can I
Yeah.
give you, this service because you have a highly uh I don't want to say unique because that's kind of a generic term, but
Mhm.
you have a very narrow focus on the product and service that you're offering. You know, it's not
Mhm.
like, I mean, I don't know how many choreographers are out there offering the same service that you are, and I don't know how many clients
Mhm.
would be out there. But it seems like that would be kind of like, you have to have a target. Like you have to have there's a specific group of people that you're
Mhm.
looking for. Like you're not
Yeah.
trying to hit like
Yeah.
a general wide audience. You're trying to hit like
Yes.
this certain
I
sector of
mean,
people that are looking for that. And the same thing
Yes, I
with you,
do.
Dominique. It sounds like you're targeting like a certain group of people that they
mhm.
would like this kind of thing.
Mhm. Of course. Um, but it's just the matter of fact of finding who will like the
Well,
thing.
I love honestly, Brianna. I love the model that you just shared with all of us because that is a
Right.
great way to get started. Because what I did with I'm just gonna share this. First of all, I am not a best-selling author. Okay, I'm just gonna preface it like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
I'm not down on myself. I'm just saying because some people are like, oh, if you're not selling much, whatever. I'm just talking about my own personal experience here. But I have been writing for the newspaper here in Savannah since 2014 as a published freelance journalist. And
Mhm.
when I got into fiction writing, I wanted to write stuff that I enjoyed, you know. So
Mhm.
I wrote a vampire novel, kind of set like an 80s style horror action film. Since then,
Mhm.
I've worked, towards that. And last year, I was in an anthology with Rachel Brune, who played Minerva in When Androids Dream,
Oh. Mhm.
Oh yeah.
episode 3.
Mhm. She did a good job.
Yeah, I think she did a great job. But I worked with her on an anthology, and so I was like, you know what, I like this. I had been wanting to do an anthology for a while because I started this thing called
Mhm.
Savannah Quill in 2016, and I've been wanting to do an anthology for a while. Didn't really, know enough people to do it, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, right? But with my
Mhm.
Savannah Quill stuff, I've done a lot of charitable things, meet and greets, fundraisers for the Ronald McDonald House here in Savannah, and I
Mhm.
wanted to separate that because what I've done with the Savannah Quill has all been charitable. I wanted to separate that so that when I was selling my books, as a publisher, that I could have the focus with the books to connect with readers, you know, to
Mhm.
sell, to
Mhm.
talk to them about and sell, them books, but I want to be able to separate the two, the charitable stuff from the, the profitable stuff. And, even connecting, like with the Savannah Quill, the idea is to connect writers and readers to promote literacy. So I have a clear, distinct mission statement. With Valhalla Books, it is to provide compelling fiction so that people love to read again. So clear, distinct mission statement, they overlap. But the reason why I separated it was because I learned, I was like, okay, well, I don't feel comfortable trying to do a charitable thing when I've got a book company that, I'm trying to sell books. So I want to separate the two. But it was all a process of like, okay, from the first time that I published a book to the newest one that I've got that's almost ready to go live, I've picked up a lot since then. I've learned a lot since then.
Yeah.
It's just like talking with Michelle. She was talking about how much she's learned. Let me do a station ID, and I want to just share something Michelle shared with me that I thought was really cool. Everybody, you're listening to WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. Sebastian, you mind playing a little bit? All right, this is Sebastian Messer, everybody. Awesome. Thank you so much, Bass. Okay, so something that really got me with talking to Michelle last week. I asked her, I said, what was something, and I want to ask you ladies the same question. What was something that when you first started out that today you wish you had known and you would have done differently, and something that you do differently now?
Well, I would say that as far as with agencies, what I've learned along the way is you do not pay when they sign you. Like, for instance, agents only take a percentage of, of the work that they get you. And because that's how, like, I started out. That's what happened with, like, the first agency that I went to.
It turned out it was a vanity agency?
Mm-hmm.
There's vanity publishers out there, too, and I warn people against that all the time. So I think that's a great example.
I kind of had to learn from that, but I think that's about it.
I think for me, I really honestly don't think I've done anything different. And I think it's because, not saying that everything I did was perfect, it's because of the fact not all of it was perfect. I had to learn with each and every step that I did, all the people I worked with, whether it was directors, cinematographers, or co-stars, the things that I learned along the way, because like I said, acting was never on my radar when I was growing up. It only came into my radar about 4 years ago. So I learned, to be honest, I consider it like a crash course. I learned a lot of it about the industry in the past 4 years straight. And so I really truly don't think there's anything I would have changed. It's all a learning process, and I came out better for it later.
Let me ask you, I do like that too. Let me ask you then, as a follow-up, Brianna, what is a piece of advice you would give to someone starting off then?
I would say don't be so hard on yourself, and do not compare yourself to someone else and their success, because that is one of the things I struggled with a lot. And I always saw myself like, I'm here, but they're there. And I'm like, well, they had to go to get there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're all on different paths. You all have different goals. And it's just thing that you have different things you have to work on. Some people are naturally talented in one thing, and others are better at other things. So it's just like you said, it's just focus on first of all, what makes you happy, what actually makes you genuinely happy. And then just working on your craft,
Mm-hmm.
getting better at it, seeing how you can how you can succeed and excel at it, doing everything you possibly can, and just focusing on yourself and what makes you happy in that realm versus, I mean, I'm not saying you can't take advice from others, because, like, I take advice from other people. I ask their opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and whether they're experienced or not, and that also helps me and contributes to me. So basically, yes, just my number one thing is do not compare yourself to someone else.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I really do. Your mom,
you.
Michelle, she said one of the things, and kind of like not the same realm, but I asked her the same question. I didn't ask her the follow up question, but because she said that what she would have done differently, and that she puts in the forefront of her mind now, is production. Like, how is she going to produce this scene or whatever? And that came into play yesterday when I was talking with my friend, because, we're doing this Dead Pixels Pictures thing, and we want it to be like no budget, low budget, micro B B movie type stuff. And so the idea came, like, so Josh has done a couple of videos. I've done some videos, trailers in the past before, but nothing live action. And well, I did do a live action one, but it was of my shadow. But I'll have to share it with you some other time. But anyway, it came up though because I said it to him yesterday. I said, you know what, I've actually scheduled the first shoot for the book trailer, or the movie trailer, or whatever. And so we got got the actors, we got the location, and all that. Now, the book stuff and the B movie stuff, we're gonna, Josh and I are gonna be working together on it. But I told him, I was like, this is the thing. It's like, I have ideas, he's got ideas, and we're like, okay, what can we do? Right now, what can we do? And so we were working together on that, and we're basically gonna just be starting from zero. I mean, not from zero, because we both have experience doing different stuff, but we're just starting off like really fresh. And I love that idea, because I tell my kids the same thing. I feel the same way. It's like, I don't compare myself to other people. I like the Michael Jordan philosophy of, I just try to be better than who I was yesterday. And that's the only person I've got to compete against. And I'll be honest with you, I try a lot of stuff, but it's all like all the different stuff that I do, like the radio show, the writing, the whatever. It's all related to storytelling. It all goes back to storytelling. And all of that is just a way to connect with people. That's all it is. It's like a way to connect with people. For me, that's how I felt. So I love being able to connect with people, and I love what you said. And Domonique, I think that's a very important part too, because I have talked ad infinitum about not. Now, there's a difference between paying for legitimate services like editing and cover design and that kind of stuff. But there are vanity publishers out there, vanity talent agencies, anybody that says, hey, you pay us $500,000, $1,500, $25,000. I know, and this is no joke, and I'm not exaggerating, but I have a friend that spent over $10,000 to have a book published.
No. Wow.
Yeah, and the company took advantage of this person, and and I felt terrible. I felt terrible. It almost discouraged them to the point where they didn't want to write anymore. And I was like, no, you got to write. You're a great storyteller. Wow. But I tell people that all the time. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because there are unscrupulous people out there who do want to take advantage of. I don't want to say naive, but people who are really energetic about like wanting to do something. And they, they're not really experienced as well. Like if I were to say, hey, I'm going to get an agent, I don't know anything about getting an agent, but I have friends that do. I have people that I trust that I can talk with. But if you don't have somebody, where do you start? Where do you're like, oh, how do I do this?
You have to like Google, and even sometimes you don't even know about them then.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. So we've only got like about a minute or two left. One of the things I like to do is like to do a shout out on the show, and then like any final announcements that you want to talk about. So Domonique, would you mind going first?
I would like to shout out my mom and my dad for being there throughout all of this, taking me to sets, taking me to auditions and helping me film my auditions, as well as my brother and my sister. And yeah, that's about it.
Future projects? You got anything you want to talk about real quick or say?
Sorry?
Do you have any future projects you want to say, or like just to make a little announcement, or?
Is there?
Okay.
Oh yes, I do. I am working on another film. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
It's called Insanely Infatuated. It's in pre-production because I'm still writing it, and I'm looking to cast some people, but it's gonna have to film after COVID. But other than that, yeah.
Nice. And Brianna, how about you? Do you want to do a shout out and any announcements?
Yes, I actually do want to shout out my mom and dad because they have been extremely steady force in my life. They have helped me realize, recognize what I like, what I want to do, and help me with the mindset of being my own boss, my own ownership, and not letting anybody control my life but me. So I really appreciate them for that and helping me get on this path. And also my friends, the ones who have been steady with me and who've been following me in my dreams and just supporting me in that way.
That is cool. And then you also said that did you want to do the announcement about the Ford CW Media Productions?
There's actually, yes. Ford CW Media Productions is doing another series. It's called Lover's Contract, and I believe it'll be filming soon. I think around November, and I'm very, very excited to do that project with them.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much today. I really appreciate y'all being on the show, and I definitely would love to have y'all back. I know I was talking with Michelle about doing some other interviews with cast members and all, but I've really enjoyed having y'all on the show today, and so thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, everybody, stay tuned, and we're going to be up here at the 4 o'clock hour. So I appreciate y'all listening. You were listening to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul.